Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the what if. Chapter 5. Naruto was thoroughly confused. His Oji-san and Arodana both looked as if they were in mortal peril. Add to that Tsunade was muttering to herself that she shouldn't kill people on her first day back. He agreed, she really shouldn't, but he was confused as to why she'd want to. Was it the porn thing? Maybe she thought it was salacious. Or was just offended in general. He'd have to clear this up. It wouldn't be right for others to pay because he said something inappropriate. The two adult males stood awaiting their impending doom. The Anbu were hiding and had yet to intercede on their Hokage's behalf. None were ashamed. They would happily take a kunai or exploding tag for their Hokage, but an irate Tsunade Senju is beyond their mandate. Literally. It is written in the Anbu operations manual and has been since she was 12. All gasped when they saw Naruto reach out and grab Tsunade's hand, assuming it'd be the end of the boy. He showed such promise. I'm sorry if I offended, Tsunade-san. In Jiraiya's books he portrayed the character based on you as an otherworldly, ethereal beauty. I assumed he was exaggerating. To find he may have undersold it was surprising, and I spoke bluntly. I apologize for my words. And just like that, the storm of killing intent snapped and Tsunade even had a tinge of pink in her cheeks. She ran her fingers through Naruto's hair playfully while smiling at the smaller blonde. Hiruzen and Jiraiya had only ever seen two people able to snap Tsunade out of an impending rage, Naoki and Dan. To see someone else brave impending doom and quell her fury with a few words was shocking. Oh, I wasn't mad at you, Naruto. And what you said was very sweet, thank you, she said, pinching his cheek, not realizing they were sensitive due to the whisker marks. Naruto hummed. It was a nice sensation, he had to admit. But that doesn't get either of you off the hook, not entirely. However, that can wait. Naruto, Sensei showed me the seals you created using my Intaka Senju's book. What inspired you to make them? I trained a lot by myself during the academy, but I wasn't sure if I was improving as I had no way to measure it, at least not precisely. I wanted to have a baseline for my overall fitness as well as be able to track whatever progress I may or may not have been making. If I had a way to measure it, I still needed a way to see the data while protecting my privacy. Genjutsu are illusions, but more abstractly, it's a way for chakra to project information. Well, it is quite ingenious. One of the reasons Sensei called me back is he felt we could make significant medical breakthroughs by working together, and I agree. You may not be able to learn Iryojutsu, but I can help you with the academic side of medicine. Why can't I learn Iryojutsu? Jinchuriki tend to struggle with chakra control, and Iryojutsu requires very precise control even for our most basic techniques. Naruto nodded in understanding, but he wasn't sure why she thought that would apply to him. He began to stroke his chin and after a moment realized the issue. He turned to his Oji-san with a blank look on his face. You didn't tell her about my chakra network, did you? Hiruzen adopted an embarrassed look on his face. He had actually forgot about that. He didn't know how he could, seeing as he almost had a heart attack when Naruto originally showed it to him. You weren't supposed to just attach things to your entire chakra system. He kicked himself for not inquiring more into why Naruto wanted an autonomous clone. He assumed it was because the basic clone jutsu was out of his reach. He promised himself that day to not just assume things about his grandson. I forgot. Why not show her? Naruto nodded and slipped off his jacket and then his shirt. He fed chakra into the compressed seal located at the base of his spine. Instantly a visible outline of the human chakra circulatory system was on his skin. I created a supplementary chakra system to help ease the burden of my overly large capacity. I have the ability to gain whatever level of chakra control I'm willing to work for. I may not be able to do it now, but I can learn Iryojutsu. My status will not negatively affect me. Tsunade dashed toward Naruto, hands glowing, and she swiftly waved them across his body. Soon, the exam stopped and she looked awestruck. You figured it out? She asked. Hi. Figured what out? Jiraiya questioned. Tsunade turned to answer him. A supplementary chakra system isn't a new concept. The problem is it can impede the growth and development of your original because the stress and the strain we experience as we utilize chakra is directed toward the system. No one had figured out how to avoid this issue, so a truly workable version was never created. How did you figure it out, Naruto? I didn't think of it as one giant seal. Instead I made 361 multi-layered seals and placed them on each of my tenketsu. That was tedious, but the hard part was figuring out the math for the pressure seal. You built an exemption for a certain level of stress on your system. Hi. Each time I used chakra, my tenketsu are stretched just as they normally would be for anyone else. My seals just bleed off the chakra that couldn't be managed by the individual tenketsu. Once a certain level of strain is reached, the pressure seal activates and the uncontrollable chakra is redirected. But the more chakra control I gain, the less I have to rely on the auxiliary system. The seal on the base of my spine operates as a control module and links each of the tenketsu seals to each other. You know, if you can do all of this with just the most basic of medical sciences, I'm sure I could turn you into a damn fine combat medic. I'm sure Shizune would enjoy having you as a Kahai. What do you say? PFF'd. Nope, he's going to be a toad summoner, not a slug. I'm going to teach him the ways of gallantry like I did for his father. Adventure, romance, and big damn hero shit. That's his future. Not being stuck in some library or treating acne. Did you just disrespect the medical field, Raya-kun? Jiraiya once again felt his end coming toward the horizon. No, I did not, and you didn't let me finish. I think Naruto learning from you is a great idea. I just didn't think with his present skill set he would be best served by being your student exclusively. While Jiraiya-kun is clearly lying, started the age Hokage, much to the chagrin of Jiraiya, he has a point. Thanks to Naruto-kun's mastery of the shadow clone jutsu, he can be in several places at once and the feedback won't negatively affect him. At a minimum, what level would Naruto-kun need to be to really be of use to you, Tsunade-chan? B rank. How many clones can you make, Naruto? Like 10. Oji-san, currently, will only allow me to produce 30 at one time. I requested 50. You told Tenzo you only needed 25. I didn't know I'd be undertaking new areas of study either. Then you should have haggled more. Mean old man. Tsunade and Jiraiya watched the pair with a fond smile. It was the most animated they'd seen the blonde, and while it wasn't much, it did point to how close he was to their sensei. How many can you part with? I'd feel comfortable with 5. I have some projects that are really close, and Oji-san is going to be making a request of me soon. They heard the older man sigh. You're sometimes too observant for your own good, Naruto-kun. Hiruzen down at his wrist, the last gift anyone had ever gotten him, hours of study of one little boy. These are too useful, Naruto-kun. The reason I had you make Tsunade-chan a copy of the metric seal is because I knew she'd understand the applications. His looking at her signaled he wanted her to speak. If all of our patients had an easily accessible medical history, including known allergens, it could save time and thus save lives. If we could have a seal run our diagnostics and have the results in a projection, it's the same thing. The more time we have for treatment, the better treatment and care we can provide. It could also allows me to keep track of if my shinobi are training as diligently as they should be, among other things. I know what these mean to you and why outside of yourself only 2 other people have them, but I think it is time to start sharing your invention with your comrades. Of course, you'd be put on contract, so you stand to make a significant sum. I couldn't etch enough for even a quarter of the shinobi in the village. Hi, I know, I've secured a manufacturer for you. They can print the seals onto the beads and guarantee their quality. Much of our trademarked seals aren't handcrafted by their creators, and your inheritance has been fattened by some of the royalties from your parents' intellectual property. Okay, Oji-san, I'll do it. I know I was being selfish not sharing, but can I get a couple of days? There are a few more I want to create by hand. After 2 days I'll go through the process so you start making them. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I'll have Jiraiya-kun introduce you to the quartermaster then, and from now on any other developments you have will go to her to start the approval process. But keep in mind, you don't have to turn over everything. It is within your rights and wise to hold some things back for your personal use. Hi, may I be excused? I'd like to get to work. Of course, my boy. It was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Tsunade-san. Same. Send your clones to the hospital at 9 a.m. tomorrow, okay? Hi. Bye Aerodana. Yay, Gaki, I'll see you for dinner. Naruto nodded and took off. I'm still pretty pissed at both of you, even if the Gaki lessened it. But, sensei, I can weigh you not telling me against you allowing me to wander around unimpeded for so many years. You, however, have no such moderating facts to consider. Not even that my book was an ode to your ethereal beauty. Jiraiya said in his defense. I know you can't write that well, so if Naruto got that from your book he reached the conclusion himself. However, I am in a better mood, so all flights on Air Tsunade have been grounded. Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief prematurely. All trains are still leaving the station, though, she said before she blurred toward Jiraiya and slugged him in the chest. He didn't fly back or even move an inch, the entirety of the force of her punch was absorbed by his body. It hurts so bad. He wheezed, his face a vision of agony. Also, Shizune and I will be joining you for dinner and you will be treating. And having no more to say, Tsunade left, a grin of satisfaction painted on her face. You village thanks you for taking that, Jiraiya. You truly are a man of gallantry. I hate you, sensei. Hiruzen's chuckle was the response to Jiraiya's all-consuming pain. As Naruto walked through the village he was creating a research plan for his various projects. He was close to a breakthrough on his suite of communication seals, but there was just something missing he couldn't quite put his finger on. He'd been attempting to create these since he completed the volumes on Fuinjutsu but had stalled without more resources. The access to the archives, which he visits every day, along with his parents' works has helped, but something was missing. He could create what he considered a radio seal that could project voice or even thought, but the range was too limited for what he wanted. Textual and visual weren't even that far. It was mildly frustrating because of how close he felt, how just one little insight or spark of inspiration could burst the dam. Then he could also complete his track and trace seal, one able to give the location of targets as well as project their discussions. A perfect tool for infiltrators. He could even create a self-destruct array so there would be no evidence. Another idea was a chakra radar, tied to his projection seal. Using the chakra signature of the bodies around it could give a map of the surrounding areas and prevent someone from walking into an ambush. A sensor seal for non-sensory ninja. He also pretty close on that one as well. Naruto had several similar support seals, but with his training under Tsunade-san, or sensei now, he supposed as well as him updating the defenses with Aerodana he was going to be incredibly busy for the foreseeable future. He also had his own training to attend to, adding to his battle Fuinjutsu repertoire, his ninjutsu, spending time with his friends, finding time for his hobbies. He really should have pushed for those 50 clones. Trying to create a workable schedule, Naruto didn't notice a piglet running straight toward him nor taking a flying leap into his arms. He simply caught the small animal out of reflex. Taunton, you can't just jump at someone like that. What is wrong with you? A young woman said, running toward the pig now in Naruto's grasp. Naruto took a good look at the woman and thought she was really pretty in an understated way. Aerodana's book once described a character as a sexy librarian and he thought it fit her well. Dark hair and eyes, delicate features and conservatively dressed in a black, full-length kimono. I'm sorry, I don't know what she's doing, she said, taking the piglet back, much to its displeasure as it tried to nuzzle Naruto's chest. It's fine, sorry I don't know your name. Shizune. Kato Shizune. Oh, Tsunade-san's student. Yes, how did you know? I didn't think it'd be common knowledge for one so young. I just met her in Oji-san's office about some Fuinjutsu work I did. Oh, that was you. Tsunade-sama was very impressed with your seals, Uzumaki Naruto, Shizune-san. She requested I work with and study under her for a brief period, said I would be your Kahai. Oh, so you're going to be her new apprentice? No, not exactly. It'll just help if I have a sufficient level of medical knowledge. Now, back to this little one. She's a very cute piglet. I guess that's what they mean by pets take after their owners. Naruto didn't notice the slight smile that formed on Shizune's lips at the compliment as he continued speaking, and if she has a sensitive nose she may have been after this. Naruto retrieves a baggie from his interior jacket pocket after unzipping it. It is trail mix featuring various dried fruits, seeds and roasted acorns. Ah, acorns are favorite, but she should know not to just pounce on someone. It's fine, she can have it if you want. I have plenty at home. Are you sure? Positive. Naruto replied, handing her the container. You're very kind, Naruto-kun. Maybe I'll see you around sometime. I'd like that, Shizune-san, but I must be off. Have a nice day. You as well. 3 adults stared at a small blonde in disbelief. He continued eating, unbothered by their looks. Besides, what he said was completely logical and followed Hinata's advice. He couldn't fathom he'd erred in some way. Naruto, I don't think you realize what you're saying. Tsunade finally spoke. She'd spent the night telling Naruto about their connection, how Kushina was chosen to follow her grandmother Mito due to her special chakra. While not blood-related, they were close and Tsunade tried to look out for Kushina as best she could, missions and war permitting. When Tsunade finally left the village, Kushina was an established kunoichi and didn't need her anymore. Tsunade went on to say Naruto could call her Obakan if he wanted. She didn't have a wide range of expected responses, but she doubted she could have ever predicted his response. I'm pretty clear on my meaning. If you'd like me to call you Obakan I can, but I feel my concerns are valid. That I may feel weird when you ask me out. As in date. Hi. That'll never happen. I'm much too old for you. Naruto just shrugged. Age ain't nothing but a number, throwing down ain't nothing be a thing. Tsunade frowned at Jiraiya. Jiraiya, this is your fault. I won't let him become a pervert because he's too trusting to ignore your influence. This isn't remotely my doing. The kid is just a natural. I'll have him a super pervert in no time. I will not allow it, Jiraiya. He's going to be respectful, not some deviant. Is that what makes someone a super pervert? Deviance. Yes, and a general lack of respect for women. Shizune added. Hey, I respect women. Then why do you peek on onsen? Inspiration. For your porn. Tsunade pointed out. Erotic literature. It lacks character development. Naruto said, and Jiraiya looked as if someone smacked him and the women just laughed. Jiraiya was so used to certain types of criticism of his books that the simplest one that treated it as a literary work and he fumbles. After that the foursome moved on to other topics, happily ignoring the moment of awkwardness that preceded it. You really asked out Tsunade Senju? Kakashi questioned in mild disbelief. I more so stated my intention to ask her out in the future, Hakut-sensei. How did she respond? She found the idea inappropriate due to the age difference. That's certainly a hurdle but not unmanageable. And your clones are with her now studying the medical sciences. Hi, I also have 5 with Aerodana to learn the basis of our barrier defenses. And what are the rest doing? The other 10 I have are working on my personal projects. Leaving 10 free should I require them for something else. Good idea, sensei. When can I stop running up this tree? Sakura screamed. Kakashi had been guilted into teaching his team basic chakra control by the other Junin sensei. Luckily for him, Naruto already knew it and provided instruction. As the other 2 attempted, or succeeded in Sakura's case, to climb the trees, Kakashi shot the breeze with chibi, all the while developing and refining his plan. This will help increase your reserves and your stamina. Keep it up. But I've been running all morning because of Naruto. Kakashi looked at Naruto and he nodded. Keep running anyway, it's good for you. Besides, a lot of running required to be a ninja. His keen sense of hearing picked up the quiet curses and insults Sakura levied against him. He had half a mind to inform her that no, that couldn't possibly fit there. Sasuke grunted as he hit the ground. Can't I just spar with one of you? This isn't going to make me stronger. Actually, Sasuke-kun, better chakra control can make you stronger. And faster and give you more stamina. It helps if you stay calm, Sasuke-san. Sasuke grunted and nodded before continuing on. Alright, Naruto, today we're going to be discussing vibes. Kakashi said, starting their daily lessons on gentleman perversion, not that Kakashi called it that. Vibes. Yes, vibes are important. Not only how to read the mood of a room but how to set a specific mood, how to curate an experience. Body language, mood lighting and especially music are all instrumental in ascertaining and creating a vibe. Oh, like tales your body tells. I'm surprised you've read that, it's hard to come by. I haven't, Sai told me about it. The boy the Sandame wanted you to meet. Naruto nodded. Well, it would be good to learn about body language, so I'll score you a copy and have for you tomorrow. But for tonight's homework, I want you to take this. Kakashi handed Naruto a storage scroll, sealed, or several albums of various types. I want you to listen to them, not necessarily all the way through, and write down how they make you feel and what sorts of things you could to the music. Does it make you want to be active or relaxed? Does it make you want to dance? I don't know how to dance. You need to learn it. It'll even help with your taijutsu, as dancing is often done with a partner, and it will train you to read and react to their movements intuitively. The thing about dancing, it isn't a thinking activity. You have to flow from movement to movement. Kakashi saw Naruto stroking his chin, a sign he was thinking deeply about the lessons. Who knew teaching could actually be fun? I could ask Hinata-chan, I'm sure she'd help me learn. You could, but don't you have another little friend? Maybe she could help. Ino-chan. Yes, ask Ino-chan for help. Kakashi watched as Naruto was thinking again. What's on your mind, Naruto? Well, since she may be helping me, I was wondering what I could do for her in exchange. While it is good to be fair-minded, Naruto, when you phrase things as transactions or deals, it can feel cold. Tell her it is in appreciation, it is effectively the same. But presentation matters because intention matters. Hinata-chan helped me with that. Yes, excellent. Now, you run along. I'll keep these two here for a bit longer before sending them home for the day. Hi, bye, Hitaki-sensei. Naruto was content to leave a little early. He'd gotten the memories from some of his clones, they'd finished one of the Fuin bracelets, and now would be a perfect time to deliver it. Hinata and he could track the other due to the tracker seals within one of the beads, and he was reasonably sure Yuhi-sensei would still be with her. Naruto wasted no time getting there, even getting a little shunshin practice along the way. As luck would have it, when he arrived to his destination, Hinata-chan and Yuhi-sensei were alone. That was preferable. While he didn't mind Shino, Kiba had become increasingly antagonistic once he started losing to Naruto repeatedly. Nothing overly mean, but Kiba simply worked from the framework of competition, and while Naruto enjoyed and thrived on pushing himself, he didn't feel the need to prove it in everything all the time. It was trying and disappointing, as he found Kiba, otherwise, a solid person. He simply couldn't deal with his vibe. Naruto cracked the briefest of smiles at his internal joke before heading over. He didn't announce himself. He suspected Yuhi-sensei was a censor, her being the leader of a tracking team additional proof, and Hinata-chan had all-seeing eyes. He simply made his way over and heard as the two seemed to be wrapping up some talk. Hi, Naruto-kun. Hello, Hinata-chan, Yuhi-sensei. Hello, Uzumaki-kun. What brings you here today? I wanted to give you something, Naruto said before retrieving the bracelet. It was black, but each bead had a phase of the moon itself being red. Naruto handed her the new piece of shinobi jewelry and briefly went over how to use it. I appreciate this, Uzumaki-kun, but why are you giving it to me? I didn't think you planned to make many. Multiple reasons. Oji-san requested I submit the designs to be produced for the village, but I wanted a few people to have the ones I've made personally. You, because you were always kind and patient with me and even offered advice when your mission was just to aid Hinata-chan. I appreciate it, and you, Yuhi-sense. Thank you, he said and supplied a small bow. Kurenai smiled at the blonde. Before she could respond to his explanation, Asuma arrived, cigarette in mouth and a bit of a smirk. Hey, Gaki, I don't have to worry about some new competition, do I? He said, and while the cadence was of a joke, his eyes were showing a similar emotion Naruto had seen from the Junin before. His Oji-san had introduced him to much of his clan, even Asuma and Kono-chan. For whatever reason, Asuma didn't seem to like him, but it felt more pointed. He had yet to happen on the right word for it, but it was almost always there. Normally, he ignored it. For some reason, it sparked something. He didn't understand what. He'd never felt this before, but he had this sense of what Asuma wasn't saying. The silent, you wouldn't be much competition even if you tried, as if Naruto would be utterly unappealing to Yuhi-sensei. As if it would be laughable to even consider, as if he would be 12 for the rest of his life. That spark started to burn a little hotter, a little brighter. He may only be 12 and shorter than his classmates, but he was a certified seal master. What had Asuma ever mastered, other than living in his father's shadow? Being a smug prick. Naruto found the silent dismissal galling. Something inside of him simply couldn't ignore it, couldn't let it go or move past it. The challenge, the condescension, the aspersion had been laid down, and Uzumaki Naruto would prove himself worthy of the first, above the second, and able to reply in kind to the third. Naruto met the Junin's gaze, his eyes unknowingly fierce. His voice as even as always, only Hinata could hear the thread of unshakable confidence in the short reply. Yes, was all he said, but it was Asuma's turn to hear the silent message, a wavelength shared only by men of a high enough caliber. Asuma slid in on a legacy admission. But he still could hear it as clear as if the boy had shouted it. And I'll take her from you too, Datbeo. Kurenai, in the immediate aftermath, would laugh it off as a joke, knowing Naruto was capable of really dry humor. Asuma would only dismiss it as the misplaced arrogance of a young boy. It would take years before either realized how wrong they were. On a busy trafficway, a silver-haired Junin face deep in a book and a self-proclaimed super pervert hiding just outside an onsen would both be filled with great pride and knew it was due to Naruto. Chapter 6. Naruto sat under one of Konoha's numerous trees, enjoying the shade and the gentle breeze. It was a warm day. Konoha days tended to be, but wind offered a cooling effect. He had his face turned upward but his eyes were closed. It had been a very busy 3 months. He trained daily, of course, except for Sundays. He'd had some additions to his regimen, at the suggestion of Tsunade-sensei and Arodana. Tsunade-sensei recommended he do reaction time drills and gave him several examples, as evasion and quick thinking were paramount for combat medics. She also gave him a few more chakra control exercises, such as weapon balancing and underwater propulsion. Shizune Senpai was kind enough to demonstrate that exercise while wearing a 2-piece bikini. It was a good day, as far as the blonde was concerned. He even enjoyed the medical training, as the bookwork was challenging but not unmanageable. Although organic chemistry was the devil, Tsunade and Shizune agreed. Thanks to his clones, his knowledge and chakra control had progressed quickly enough that he was about ready to start shadowing other medics and learning advanced jutsu like the mystical palm and chakra scalpels. So far, he could only do really basic things. Arodana would train with him a few times a week. He helped Naruto learn how to suppress his large chakra signature as well as other techniques to improve his stealth. He also got Naruto used to fighting stronger, faster and more experienced opponents. Even free of his seals, he found it difficult to get clean hits on the Toad Sage. Arodana had also been sharing some of his sealing knowledge and specialization. He thought the fire suppression seal was amazing in its potential, and it had inspired Naruto to create a new technique in conjunction with something else Arodana taught him, summoning. Naruto loved being a summoner, loved the toads. He'd always liked animals but was never in a position to have a pet. But summons were great. You could treat them like friends and it wasn't weird because they could actually talk back. He'd usually summon Gamakichi and Gamatatsu a few times a week just to talk and hang out, even introducing them to Hinata-chan and Sai. He didn't think Ino-chan would take to them, yet. Arodana told him not to attempt to summon any of the larger toads yet, that he'd clear some time so they could do it someplace remote. Naruto agreed, but there were so many to meet that not being able to summon the big 3 was no big deal. He'd never had so many sparring partners. Hatake-sensei kept up with what Naruto was calling his soft skills training. He had to admit, while not exactly what he was expecting, Hatake-sensei was a genius instructor. He wouldn't necessarily spell things out, but if you really dug into his lessons they often branched into many facets of being a shinobi. As Naruto learned to dance from Ino-chan and apply those lessons, he got what Hatake-sensei meant. His taijutsu was formally good, but his thinking had been too rigid. But now, he was learning, slowly, to adapt to his opponent's rhythm, to their flow and use it against them. What Naruto didn't know, and what Kakashi would never have the heart to tell him, was that the blonde simply took more out of Kakashi's pervert lessons than the man ever intended. When he said dancing could help with taijutsu, he was simply doing with Naruto what he had just done with Sasuke, give an abstract but acceptable benefit to an exercise he assumed his charge wouldn't want to undertake. Kakashi assumed that Naruto, like most boys, wouldn't want to learn to dance for the sake of dancing. He underestimated Naruto in that aspect and had set the boy on the path of being an eventual taijutsu beast. Maybe one even good enough to beat Guy's clone. Naruto even received a few tips on genjutsu theory from Yuhi-sensei. She said it was in thanks of the Fuin bracelet and the pencil sketch Naruto made of her stored in her storage bead. It really helped him with another seal he was creating, one nearing completion. It wasn't all just training as Naruto made time for his friends. Outside of their usual spars, Hinata-chan and he would take walks or he would watch her decimate cinnamon rolls. He found it cute as she was so often reserved. He hung out with Sai several more times, and even got some ninjutsu out of it. Sai said his master appreciated Naruto befriending his charge, so he gave him 2 futonjutsu and 1 doten, but it was an incredibly useful one. Sai's master, Danzo-san, even challenged Naruto to learn the jutsu and the first exercise of wind nature transformation without the aid of clones. He had managed it, but it did take a few weeks to truly master the exercise. However, it made learning the jutsu pretty easy, so it was time well spent. When alone, Naruto practiced cutting other things with just his chakra, such as logs or rocks. It would practice on speed, size of the cut and amount of power generated. It was really good chakra control. If not sparring, Sai and he would often talk about their mutual interests of art and self-help books. It was nice to find someone who had read as many as Naruto had, and the boys would share insights into people and their weird behavior. Naruto even introduced Sai to Hinata-chan and Ino-chan. The 4 hadn't really gotten to hang out together. Ino-chan always seemed tense around Hinata-chan for some reason. Naruto assumed it was because the 2 kunoichi weren't particularly good friends, and he resolved to make sure they spent more time together. In appreciation for Ino-chan teaching him how to dance, Naruto agreed to go shopping with his fellow blonde. She seemed surprised when he agreed, but he really didn't get the big deal. No, shopping wasn't that interesting to him, but Ino-chan could be quite engaging about the topic of fashion. Naruto would listen intently, asking questions every now and again, but generally just let her speak. She made sure he had a lot of casual and formal off-duty wear, as no friend of hers was going to be a fashion tragedy. It was good he was receiving pay for his fuin bracelets and his other seal work, as the price of clothing climbed rather rapidly. It was a unique experience for the Uzumaki to see Shinobi gush about his creation but never knowing it was him that created it. It was only made available for Anbu and select Junin. Knowing the value of the seals, his Oji-san wouldn't clear anyone to possess if they hadn't been cleared by T&I. Naruto thought it wise, but had included ways to remotely disable or destroy the seals if they ever got into enemy hands. And given that each bracelet was biometrically coded to the individual owner, they were fairly secure. Naruto was creating a system for the hospital to allow for instant access to medical histories, but hadn't been too pressed to complete it. Tsunade-sensei was having her staff undergo the same process, as the hospital was an ideal location for information gathering. By the time everyone was cleared, he was confident he'd have the arrays ready to be installed and the individual beads to be given to the medical staff. Naruto's life was full. He hadn't realized how lonely he once felt until all the additional people in his life took it away. Just thinking about it brought a small smile to his face. As he sat under the tall tree and enjoyed the shade and the breeze, his companion was starting to stir. Naruto was actually on a mission to retrieve Tora, the supposed demon cat. Naruto didn't think the feline was so bad, she just didn't like her freedom being taken away. He assumed she'd likely return home when she was ready if her owner would just be patient. He found the kitty an hour ago. Sasuke was the lead for the mission and stated they should split up to cover more ground. It didn't take long for Naruto to find her, but he had no intention of getting scratched to hell, so he made a deal with her. If she stayed with him, he wouldn't take her back until his teammates found them. She seemed to understand and didn't run off. They had shared his lunch, and he'd even put a temperature control seal on her collar, one similar to what he installed in the kitchen at Ichiraku ramen stand. Then, they just drifted off for a midday nap. But now Tora was awake, and Naruto assumed it was because she sensed something or someone approaching. The cat had good senses, as it was Hataki-sensei who appeared first, orange book in hand. Sasuke and Sakura arrived soon after, both looking irate. Sasuke was the one to give voice to their displeasure. "If you found that stupid cat, why didn't you alert us?" "Because I made a deal with her and that would have violated it." "Well, the spirit of it. You can't make a deal with a cat, Naruto Baka," Sakura said. She just didn't understand her teammate or how he thought. "I can and I did. Besides, if we had done what every other team did, Tora would have fought us. This way she comes along peacefully, and if we ever get this mission again, she knows we're fair." Sasuke, too, was often frustrated or annoyed with his teammate. Unlike most people that annoyed Sasuke, it wasn't because Naruto crowded him or was useless. He was skilled, Sasuke could admit that. He would also answer any questions the lone Uchiha had, but his bluntness reminded Sasuke of Itachi's dismissiveness and it would scratch at an old wound. It was also the case that Naruto thought nothing like Sasuke but was often either outright correct or had a strong enough point the Uchiha, who was used to the binary of either right or wrong, couldn't counter it. Naruto was maddening. But what really chapped Sasuke's ass, he wasn't the favorite. It was petty, he realized that. He shunned attention daily and had done so for years. But a part of him assumed he'd be Kakashi's favorite, that even while being difficult he'd be the one that Kakashi would give extra lessons to. And yes, Kakashi had taught him an additional Kaden jutsu when he hadn't taught either Sakura or Naruto one, but he could tell Kakashi wasn't as engaged as he was when teaching Naruto social skills. Add to that the glut of insipid D ranks and Sasuke was nearing something of a breaking point. Let's just end this stupid mission, Sasuke finally said. Naruto didn't respond, instead simply picking Tora up as he stood up and started walking toward the Hokage tower. Tora would occasionally rub her head against his whisker marks as he scratched gently underneath her chin. Some part of Sakura found it cute, another couldn't get over the 2F** king hours she spent looking for the little beast. Team 7 made good time to the tower and were allowed immediate entrance to the Hokage. The venerable leader was finishing some paperwork, so only caught the tail end of Naruto speaking. And if you ever run into a piglet wearing pearls, that's Taunton. She's really cool, you two should hang out. Meow. Naruto, pay attention, Iruka-sensei bellowed from the left side of the room. Naruto just kept petting Tora. Team 7 reporting in and returning one Tora, Hokage-sama. Good, Kakashi-kun. Iruka-kun, could you retrieve Madame Shijimi? Hi, Hokage-sama. Iruka exited the room for a moment and returned promptly with the daimyo's wife. The woman made quite the entrance, exclaiming loudly, Tora-chan, as she strutted in the room. As she approached Naruto, ready to give Tora her customary death hug, she stopped at the sight of eyes as blue and hair as yellow of only one other person she knew of. She may give off the feeling of being vacuous, there was a reason she was a wife and not some side bitch. She turned to the Hokage, much of the joy gone from her face as she gently took Tora from Naruto. Hiruzen, we will be speaking about this. The aged Hokage saw how she looked at Naruto and knew what the discussion would entail. Most everyone else, excluding Kakashi and Naruto, were confused by the woman's sudden change in mood as they had brought her stupid cat back. Madame Shijimi exited the office and he decided to move on lest unwanted questions started getting asked. Well, congratulations Team 7 on a successful mission. Now, what else will we be undertaking today? I believe my team is ready for AC rank, Hokage-sama. Kakashi spoke. He got the sense Iruka was going to protest, so he pinned the Chunin with a quick glare. Concern was one thing, coddling was another. Are you sure, Kakashi-kun? Hi. It's time for me to make my final decision on whether or not this will be my team. A standard C rank should be an adequate measure to see if they have what it takes. I agree, Iruka, please retrieve Tazuna-san. As fast as last time, Iruka left and returned with their client. Is this my protection? A Cyclops and 3 brats. Look at yellow-haired one, he doesn't even seem all there in the head and is the size of an imp. Tazuna couldn't understand how wrong and ironic his words were. As he spewed his insults, Naruto was blazing through seal elements, having activated his projection seal. The goal, the first ever seal to make someone bitch slap themselves. He was nailing down the connections to the cerebral cortex when he heard his Oji-san speak. Naruto, stop it, now. Naruto disengaged the projection and faced his Oji-san, not understanding how the man knew what he was thinking. He wondered if it were some sort of jutsu, an Oji-san jutsu. Truthfully, Inoichi had counseled Hiruzen to look for signs Naruto was getting frustrated or angry, as he may not always verbalize it. Hiruzen had and knew the beginning signs Naruto was angry was when he quirked an eyebrow. If the annoyance progressed, he would stroke one of his spiky bangs. Hiruzen didn't know what came after that and didn't much want to. Tazuna, be at the East Gate in 2 hours, thank you. The Hokage said, and the man recognized the dismissal for what it was and left. Hiruzen handed Kakashi the mission scroll and he looked it over quickly. This is a protection mission, pack for about a month and meet me at the East Gate in 2 hours. The team departed, all three excited for their first real ninja mission. The team arrived at the gate, as did the client, during their scheduled time. They departed in the most basic formation, Sasuke in front, Naruto and Sakura to either side and Kakashi in back, head in his Ika. It was rather tranquil, the only sounds being the short conversation between Sakura and Tazuna-san. Eventually, the team came toward a puddle. Naruto never really paid attention to weather patterns, but he knew a derivative of the false surrounding jutsu when he saw it. It was mentioned in several of the genjutsu guides and books he read, as well as one Yuhi-sensei demonstrated for him. He turned his head slightly to make the smallest eye contact with Hatake-sensei, and he saw his sensei give a small nod. Naruto told himself not to tense, as that would give the impending ninja a sign they'd been made. He made sure to keep his breathing normal. Awaiting an ambush was a unique experience he wouldn't really recommend. While he had tags prepared that could disrupt it, if those ninja weren't actually there for them, then he started an unnecessary fight. If they were there, then he could cost them much needed intelligence, and since Hatake-sensei hadn't made a move, Naruto could only conclude he was to let this play out. He didn't like it, though. His instincts were of one that laid the trap, not someone that knowingly sprung a trap. Soon they passed the puddle and two shinobi leapt out of it, both wearing gauntlets with a chain attached to it. The chain wrapped around Kakashi and seemingly killed the Junin. Sakura screamed. Sasuke got into his taijutsu stance and Naruto had his Eskrima sticks out and at the ready. One down. One of the duo spoke before they made a beeline toward Tazuna. Sasuke took to the air, landing a spin kick on one of the shinobi with enough force to send them stumbling back into a tree. He then threw a kunai, pinning the chain to a tree. The tag team had no choice but to uncouple themselves. During this exchange Naruto had gotten closer to the action, but not much. His heart was racing and he could feel the effects of endorphins flooding his body due to his first taste of real combat. But he forced himself to remain focused. Now that the two could move freely, it complicated and simplified matters. They must have been better when attacking in tandem, so Sasuke did, presumably, decrease their overall effectiveness. He also introduced a host of new variables. Naruto watched the two men. If they chose to both attack Sasuke, he was close enough, he believed, to intercede. If one came after Tazuna, then he was prepared to set a trap and then help Sasuke. It all depended on these next moments. He felt his grip tighten on his sticks. Whatever path he chose, he'd have to commit to. One of the duo ran past Sasuke, while the other continued to engage. This was it. Naruto channeled chakra to his feet. Creating a two-layer seal through his feet was difficult but manageable, as he'd practiced it and had his clones do the same. It was going to be a simple paralysis and chakra restraint seal, with a cloaking array thrown in so the enemy ninja wouldn't realize it. Naruto waited patiently as the man approached, the distance between them shortening by the millisecond. What Naruto had not planned for was Sasuke knocking his opponent down with a hard kick and deciding to go after the one charging toward their client, taking it on himself to save Naruto from freezing up. When he ran in between Naruto and the oncoming ninja, he set off the seal, not even managing to finish whatever barb he was saying. He also blocked Naruto's path, slowing any attempted dash to the man preparing to stab Sasuke through the heart. It was at that point Kakashi interceded, grabbing the man by the neck and revealing he had the other ninja in a similar hold. He smiled at his genin and then excused himself. About 5 minutes later he returned. Sasuke was scowling at Naruto, who looked on impassively. Tazuna looked panicked when Kakashi ordered him to explain. The man then told the team his story, how he was wanted by an international criminal, how his bridge would free his people, and how he was desperate for help. Kakashi decided to let his team choose whether or not they would continue. Sasuke emphatically stated he wanted to go. Sakura, while not confident, agreed. His third student remained quiet, thumb and index finger on his chin. "What are you thinking, Naruto? This isn't really a bodyguard mission anymore." Kakashi began in interest. "Explain." "We're going to a hostile territory with our opposition on the lookout for us. This is more an infiltration, Hatake-sensei." "That's a very interesting point. And how would that change things?" "I don't know. I need information from the package," Naruto said, and then created a clone to go speak to Tazuna. "One problem, Hatake-sensei, is that any shinobi will know we are a genin squad. We have to change that. Kakashi nodded, and in the background could hear Chibi's clone questioning Tazuna about the travel plans into Wave, the boatman's name, and how the man generally interacts with him. Kakashi had an inkling what Naruto was planning but wanted to hear him out. You would suggest we each get out of our shinobi clothes and take off our headbands. Hi. Anything with a clan crest, anything ninja related would tip off whoever is waiting for us. Do we know? No, both of the demon brothers had a suicide pill on their mouths. We know whoever it is, scares them enough to prefer suicide to betrayal. Now read this statement. Tazuna-san, the clone requested, and now Kakashi definitely knew what Naruto was planning. You three start getting changed into something believably civilian. Kakashi ordered. He didn't want to miss the climax. I don't have any civilian clothes, Kakashi. Do you have a rain cloak? Hi. Then put that on, Sasuke. His students exited to the trees to change their clothes as Kakashi still watched the clone interact with Tazuna. The clone requested Tazuna sit down, and the man complied, taking residence on a stump. The clone then positioned Tazuna's head with his chin slightly raised, and without warning or preamble, the clone shot out a lightning-fast jab to said chin and knocked the man out. Tazuna was in a prisoner transport scroll before he knew what hit him. That is an expert slumping, Clone-kun. Now, let me see it. The clone obeyed and hanged into Tazuna and even said a short passage in his voice. Kakashi smiled at how clever Chibi could be, turning the client into a package and walking into Nami with no one the wiser. It was simple, but the plan contained layers. With Naruto's seal mastery, he could fortify the bridge and the bridge builder's house. What was once a weakness is now a strength. With his henge abilities, Naruto could bait the enemy shinobi to attack when they were prepared for it. As long as Team 7 got to Tazuna home, they were in a strong position to set the terms of engagement. And while this rested on Naruto's unique set of skills, they were his skills and he planned to use them beautifully. Kakashi wondered if he should start giving Naruto some Anbu scenarios to run through just to see how he'd respond. His train of thought was broken when the kids returned, except instead of a blonde, a pinkett and a Sasuke, he now had an auburn redhead and 2 ravenettes. He was also decidedly down a boy, as Chibi was now a gray midriff-wearing, dark-haired girl. The eyes were the same, the whisker marks seemed to be covered over with foundation, and her hair were in 2 pigtails going down her back. Sensei, do you want a seal to change your hair, too? Sure, Naruto. Is this the sexy jutsu? Hi. It has almost no chakra cost once I transform, so it shouldn't be noticeable to any but the best sensors. Naruto said in a decidedly feminine, pre-adolescent voice as she walked over and gave him a seal. Kakashi applied it to the top of his head and thought about what he wanted as he channeled chakra into the seal. Soon, his trademark silver hair was black as well as stringy. He simply brushed it back with his hand and then made his way to the forest to change. Once he returned, he had a simple blue shirt and black pants. Like the kids, he swapped out his shinobi sandals for a pair of regular ones he kept sealed. Apparently Naruto kept multiple pairs in case he had to henge into people of various sizes. Once he checked them over, they made haste toward the coast. During the travel, Kakashi critiqued their performance. He felt Naruto should not have waited for the second demon brother to make a move. It wasn't a bad tactic, but it was one that used his teammate as bait, and with his ability with shadow clones there was reason to do so. He also felt Sasuke should have had more confidence in his teammate. Especially don't try to quip when he was ruining a perfectly good trap. He admonished all 3 of them for not being prepared for a third opponent, though Naruto pointed out he knew Kakashi was watching. Right before they reached the boatman, Naruto made a clone and hanged it into Tazuna. The ride over was quiet, the man obviously scared and was more than happy to see them depart from him. With the clone dispelled, the foursome walked toward Tazuna's. There was a tense moment for Kakashi. He felt himself being watched but didn't allow it to change his body language. Any hint he knew someone was there could ruin the entire play, and this was the most crucial part of it. The onlooker, or lookers, let them be in Team 7, made it to Tazuna's. Naruto unsealed the drunk so he could verify they were there to protect him. It was late evening by the time they arrived and most everyone was tired. It was fortunate Naruto was not, as he was going to have a long night ahead of him. By the time everyone was settling in for the night, the once again blonde boy began creating his security measures for the house and had 2 5-member teams of clones doing so for the surrounding area and the bridge. Kakashi may have appeared to be asleep, but he was wide awake, running scenarios, plans and counter-plans. Truthfully, if not for Chibi speaking up, Kakashi would have walked Tazuna right into an ambush under the belief he could handle it. Cocky, yes. Irresponsible, definitely. And that was never how he ran Anbu missions. He was methodical, logical and efficient. It'd shame him that his student had to put him in the right frame of mind if said student was the chosen one and destined to do all kinds of unbelievable things as he led men into a new era. He digressed. There was a problem. An army of bandits and an unknown number of missing ninja. Kakashi needed information, and the best way to do that was to put Tazuna in harm's way. Tomorrow was going to be the opening move of the real game. Kakashi was ready, he only hoped his team would be as well. The demon of the mist was starting to grow impatient. He's been waiting for the bridge builder to return, or the very least the demon brothers. It could be the man was still hiding in Konoha, but Zabuza just had a feeling that wasn't the case. He didn't want to kidnap the man's family to draw him out, but he needed to move things along. He hated working for scum like Gato, hated being a missing nin. This was the fabled final job, the one last score that would allow him to charge back to Kiri and kill Yagura. He was getting too edgy, anticipating too much. It was a bad place to be. You'd jump at everything and no longer distinguish between a real threat and a nuisance. He hoped Haku would have better luck, having been ordered to watch the bridge just in case. He just needed eyes on the old man, just one clear shot. Zabuza turned swiftly when he heard someone traveling through the trees. They were moving fast, their landings light. He wasn't a chakra sensor, but his other senses were highly trained. Given the sound and the speed, he assumed it was Haku, but soon all travel stopped, but something was sailing through the air. Zabuza caught the item with ease, Haku's Hunter Nin mask. On the back of the mask was a short note, the first sentence making Zabuza shake with fury. "We have Haku." The note demanded he show up at the bridge at midnight to negotiate Haku's release. He would never be brought so low for a tool. Instead, he'd slaughter everyone there and then go to the old man's house and kill him and his entire family. Whoever these ninja were, they'd learn demons don't bargain. 4 hours previous to the delivery of the note, Kakashi watched as their captive and bargaining chip was made comfortable. She'd been knocked unconscious thanks to one of Naruto's seals. Kakashi didn't know the name, but the effect was something not to be ignored. The girl thought she had escaped the blast radius, only to be violently pulled back before jettisoned forward. Naruto said she didn't have whiplash but did take a nasty bump on the head. She was good, only a seal that could read chakra capacity gave her away, and the trap was sprung before she could ever put up a real fight. They now had the advantage. Kakashi sincerely doubted she was working alone, but he'd have to get that information out of her to confirm. Whoever she worked for, assuming she did, had just gotten their attack force reduced and were on the back foot. Assassins were hunters, they were used to choosing where and when. It wasn't natural for them to be on the defensive. Once she awoke, Kakashi sent everyone out of the room. It didn't take long to get what he needed, the Sharingan was just a handy tool in situations like these. But the aftermath, her being so broken for having betrayed her Zabuza-sama, didn't fill him with pride. True, this way would mean she was more than likely to survive, but there is living and there is being alive. Kakashi knows that better than most. For years he was simply alive, the death he sought avoided him at every turn. He doesn't know if he's started living again, but he knows he isn't where he was. He briefed his team on the new information. They needed to know they were up against a genuine Kiri Hardman. This wasn't a game, this wasn't a time where mistakes could be tolerated. Perfection was an unreasonable standard, and yet it would be needed. Kakashi was confident he could take on the demon of the hidden mist, but things happened, no outcome was guaranteed. Being at the mercy of a fresh genin some months ago retaught that lesson. He informed them Naruto would be delivering the message via a clone. It would not risk any of them and give the boy a chance to try out an early version of his track and trace seal. Naruto designed the receiver seal on the spot, and Kakashi assigned Sakura to listen in, and the clone would keep a visual on Zabuza's location. 2 hours after the note was delivered, Kakashi was contacted, via the communication seal Naruto gave the entire team. "Big Dog, this is Spiral 1, over. The beauty of the seal is the wearer didn't have to speak but simply think their message. The range was limited, which is why Naruto felt it wasn't complete but it was an upgrade to the standard radios. I copy Spiral 1, over. I've got a visual on Zabuza Gato and 2 Hatchetmen, over. I've got Cherry Bomb listening in, over. Requesting permission to neutralize all parties, over. And there it was. His chibi was asking for the green light, even if said chibi was a clone Naruto would have to live through the act. The request made sense. Zabuza was in an enclosed space with Gato. He knew Naruto had a barrier that could end them. Could he make his sensei's son first kill be in cold blood? An assassination. Naruto wasn't a cold person. His weapons of choice could disarm, could cause a lot of damage but were not designed for killing. Neither was his taijutsu. The kid came up with an idea to avoid fighting. He wasn't a killer. But Zabuza was. A merciless one at that. Had Kakashi's earlier admonishment of Naruto putting his teammates at risk caused an overcorrection? Or was this just an acknowledgement of opportunity? He had no time to figure it out and ultimately it couldn't matter. Should Kakashi give the order? He may protect Tazuna until Gato's men rebel and they have a disorganized riot of bandits to deal with. His negotiation with Zabuza might bear fruit. And ultimately, killing Gato when he hasn't attacked them is beyond their mandate. He had his answer. Negative. Spiral 1, over. Understood. Big Dog. New orders, over. Follow Gato. Attempt to get a seal on him, too. I have a feeling he might have his own plans. Don't overdo it and don't be seen. Over. Understood. Big Dog. Over and out. Kakashi released a sigh. This kid's made things too intense for his money. He quickly looked at the time. It was just 3 p.m. There was a lot of time left before he was to meet Zabuza. Kakashi had a feeling his midnight meeting would decide the success or failure of this mission and that didn't sit well with him, at all. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video be sure to like, comment and subscribe as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.